Next up, we have Danica Jones. She's the marketing manager for consumeraffairs.com, and I was chatting to her yesterday at Fastler and really kind of learning what they do, and I would position it, she may well come out and say, that was nonsense, don't listen to him, this is what we do. If she does, I'm sorry. I would say they're kind of like a national Better Business Bureau where they field online reviews and they try to resolve people's complaints. So she has lots of data at her fingertips, and she's right there in the trenches of reviews and reputation management and building. So please welcome to the stage to talk about a really interesting topic, Danica Jones.
All right, am I on? I'm good? Okay. So, reputation marketing, not reputation management. I'm going to maybe say something a little controversial coming up, but like David was saying, consumeraffairs.com is kind of a big website. We have nearly 8 million consumers that visit our site every single month, and the majority of our traffic is actually not direct. So we have people that they are consumers querying, they are looking, they are researching, and I'll dig a little deeper about some of the metrics that we've uncovered in terms of consumer behavior, but it is incredibly insightful, and it has helped us develop a lot of concepts that essentially will throw reputation management out in the garbage. So let me talk to you guys a little bit about the old way of doing things. So the old way, and this is pretty typical, the old way has been, you know, your dirty secret gets uncovered on the internet, right? And then you have to figure out how to put out the fire and solve the problem, and you are forever immortalized like United Breaks Guitars, right? How many of you guys have seen the video? Yeah? Okay, so you're forever immortalized in search. So a consumer who is querying for the best airline to fly on, and they discover United Breaks Guitars, and maybe they're my husband who builds guitars, they see that and they say, wow, well, I'm going to go to this buyer's guide below this and see what else I can find. And they're going to use that information that is crowdsourced by millions of other consumers to make a decision, that moment of truth that Google calls it. So SERP immortality can be great when you're trying to obtain SEO, first page rankings. SERP immortality is also incredibly destructive and can last for years. So the new way, and sorry, this slide doesn't have never nude pictures on it, but don't just brand your name, brand your customer experience. And this isn't just you telling people what your customer experience is. This is asking customers to tell other consumers what your customer experience is about. We will say so long to reputation management and hello to reputation marketing. I love this quote, and I had to like add a little something into it. Yeah, you are what you share. Dana touched on this on a level that I can't even fit into my little 20-minute time slot, but you are what you share. Your brand is everything. Your brand is your employees talking about it. Your brand is everything that you are trying to put out there, and it is also what all of the consumers that are out there, all of the customers that are out there are trying to put out there about your brand name as well. My math, which I am not a analytics super brilliant genius, but it's pretty simple. Reputation marketing is this combo, this delicate balance of PR, which includes that branding facet, user experience, a killer experience that somebody gets to you, goes through this really smooth transaction, and then the customer experience that follows and kind of continues taking them through this sales funnel that's forever going over and over again from the top of the funnel, end of the funnel, and there really is no end. It just keeps going because that customer retention occurs when you have an outstanding customer experience. That equals profit. There's some knowledge available about reputation marketing. There is not a lot, and I have read most of the 93 books available on Amazon, and I will tell you that most of the information sucks or is outdated. To give you some scope on reputation marketing awareness versus reputation management awareness, there is as of this talk, or just before this talk, close to 2,000 books on reputation management. And there's the 93 books on reputation marketing. Of those 93 books, about 14 of them were written in the past year or so. So this is a really new concept. It hasn't really been expanded on because obviously it takes a while to develop consumer data and insights to figure out ways that you can actually do a deep dive. And the toughest part is that the way that you use reputation to market to consumers varies from vertical to vertical. So what works for a university trying to put their reputation out there and connect with people who could become their next students is completely different than what Coca-Cola wants to do to reach consumers. And maybe Coca-Cola doesn't give a shit what people think. Maybe they don't care if a rat's tail shows up in one of their cans, because there's so many people, you're still gonna drink it, right? It's still a Coca-Cola can, and you're still gonna drink it. And you're gonna move past that fact that that one consumer was trying to scream out and get heard. So it really is different. The scale of your business, all of that stuff is relative, and it takes a lot of analytics and a lot of understanding to see how that all kind of ties together. So here's the first tip. Stop being a fireman. And you guys are all welcome for what you see here. Stop being a fireman. Brands are not about putting out fires. Your goal is never to sit there and say, I'm gonna cause some trouble, and then I'll just put out the fire later. Because that serpent mortality is always going to be there. You're going to be searchable forever. You're going to be there. Usually the more high friction and experiences and the more people are resourcing it, researching and finding it, the more likely it's just going to kind of continue to climb up and climb up and climb up and get higher and higher up on the search results. And even we struggle with that at Consumer Affairs. Obviously a lot of brands hate us because guess what happens when a consumer's angry? They go to the brand, and then if the brand ignores them, they go to social media. What if social media ignores them? Guess what? We're the last stop on the train. And by the time they get to us, they're pissed off. So here's the cure. Get proactive. Give a shit. Smokey is telling you to prevent forest fires. You don't have to be a fireman. You do have to be a committed and dedicated team member that is focused on preventing these forest fires from even occurring in the first place. Why? I will tell you exactly why. Google calls it zero moment of truth. I mentioned it earlier. It is that moment when we pull out our phone and we pull up our desktop browser and we sit there and say, I have to pick the best mortgage company. I'm about to be committed to this for 40 years, and I need to make sure that whatever I do is not going to screw me. So do you pick somebody who has lots of bad reviews, these customer experiences that are telling them that they're getting switched from lender to lender to lender and they have no control and they feel like they're completely lost? Or do you find that one company that has this shining record of customer experience that says what they're telling you about their brand, yeah, we're the best mortgage lender, is actually true according to all of the customers that are backing it up? So that's that social proof concept. You don't want just one company to tell you that something is outstanding. You don't want to just be the one that's telling people, trust us, we're great, we're amazing. That's what your PPC ads are for, but organic search is actually where somebody says, oh yeah, what they say in the PPC ad is what their customers are saying in organic search, especially on that first page. So millions of channels out there. Your brand is most likely not going to be the first query that somebody makes when they are trying to purchase something. Obviously, this is not necessarily always the case, but the vast majority of it is the case. Typical queries include things like the best mortgage companies or just mortgage companies. We rank #1 for our buyer's guide for mortgage companies in organic search. So guess what? Thousands and thousands and thousands of consumers that are shopping specifically for mortgage lenders are using that first query to start their journey, to begin their discovery and try to research to make an educated decision. So one of the things that always comes up, and there's a great Reddit thread about consumer affairs in an SEO subreddit that it's my favorite thing, and I go back and read it all the time because we're egotists about how awesome we are, and we're very proud of what we do, but don't focus on crushing the big boys. The question from the SEO channel was, how do I get that really bad consumer affairs search result to get knocked off that first page? The answer is you don't, because you're one SEO guy trying to conquer what is, to give scale a web scale website that is an SEO behemoth. You can't do that. So what you have to do is come play with the big boys. Come hang out with us. We're there to help, and you can leverage those third-party websites to transform the way that you put yourself out there in terms of PR. So how do you leverage a third-party website? Everything that you don't own that is a brand media property is a huge risk, a greater risk to your reputation than anything that you could possibly ever think about putting out there. That's media websites, that's review websites, that's social media, that's consumer-generated content that you do not control. You can control some of that conversation by joining the conversation, but if you're not there, you're missing out on this opportunity to leverage those voices and flip those voices from possible negative sentiment into positive sentiment. Big joke, where do you go to bury bodies? Second page of Google. So here's the first part, and I know there was a mention about never failing to respond to a negative review. Customer feedback matters. It matters so much because what you do after that feedback occurs and how you gather that feedback is the difference between somebody having that 0 moment of truth and seeing a competitor doing something better and you failing to do that and losing that, or you're there and you're engaged and they see that you're engaged and that you're solving problems, that you're apologizing for anything that's come up or created a bad user experience, and you're fixing things and your competitor isn't, and guess what? You win. So before I go into the complexities of this amazing graph that is really insightful, I do want to touch on this fact that a lot of people are chasing the 5-star. They want a 5-star rating everywhere. Some recent surveys revealed something really interesting, and I think this is the most compelling argument for collecting an unbiased sample of customer feedback to leverage in your PR and leverage in your marketing strategy, and that is that 3 times more trust is invested in a 4.5-star review than a 5-star review. So if somebody sees a 4.5-star review, they trust that 3 times more than any 5-star reviews that they see. So you don't have to be perfect. In fact, consumers expect you not to be perfect. Nobody has a perfect brand. Things happen, customer experiences fail, and the feedback you get from those reviews, from that unbiased sampling of feedback, is the key to using that. Those are your free analytics that tell you exactly what you need to do to improve your product, to improve your service, to improve the entire transaction process that leads up to that point and helps you retain those customers. This right here tells you, and this is from this past year, the conversion rate relative to the number of reviews. I know we kind of touched on this about when you hit a certain large volume compared to your competitor, it doesn't necessarily look good and it could deter people because they're a little suspicious. Again, vertical to vertical, this completely varies. What we have discovered is large volume doesn't deter competitors, doesn't deter consumers, excuse me, but what it does is if it's incredibly biased to 1-star or incredibly biased to 5-star, it does deter them because they say, oh, I don't have all the information, or this looks a little weird that they have a perfect score, or this looks really weird that all I see is negative feedback. So this is tricky. The conversion rate has this weird kind of plateau when you hit somewhere between 10 and 30 reviews, and then it spikes up to close to 5% conversion rate once you start generating more volume towards 50 and beyond. So the more feedback you have that says, yes, what we say is true, promise me, listen to our customers, listen to what they have to say, listen to the experts, listen to these testimonials you see, the more likely you are to convert people. So kind of expanding on feedback, you can leverage these testimonials. You can use these opportunities to say, like, here, listen to what this person has to say. Let's expand on this. This is great content for your marketing. So trying to develop these stories that demonstrate the customer experience and illustrate how somebody was able to achieve success with your product or achieve satisfaction with your product. So you can prove your worth. You can build that consumer trust. Trust is so big to consumers right now because they're able to make, if they do the research, they're able to make a decision. They're able to see what they need to do to make the best choice possible. This also helps you stand out because a lot of times what happens is if you're leveraging a third-party site and you have these amazing testimonials or somebody saying like, this is a great experience, you need to find out more about this company, what it does is it's a really great kind of chance for you to say like, yeah, we are great. Listen to what this person had to say. You can share it through your social media. You can share it in newsletters, things like that. So you're able to repurpose a lot of these testimonials over and over again in your content. And it's really valuable. And it's also easy to source because somebody's already said it. So letting the experts do the talking. I talked a little bit about third-party websites, review websites. Consumer Affairs has these buyer's guides. My colleague who's here is actually the one that's developing 110 buyer's guides that we have now. These are all things that consumers are using to make these decisions. Consumers trust experts. They do. They trust their peers and their fellow consumers more often, but the experts are backing it up with the technical knowledge that you need if you're not fully aware of what you need when you're looking at maybe like one camera to another camera. So maybe you're an amateur photographer and you're like, I want to make a technical decision. All my friends are using Canons, but I'm not really sure if maybe I want a Nikon, I don't know. Maybe I should actually see an expert and see what they say and see a complete unpackaging of all of these different products and compare them side by side and see what this guy says about how it varies from camera to camera. So placing yourself on these buyer's guides is awesome. This is like free SEO. This is free top ranking SEO for you. So if you're not on a buyer's guide and a buyer's guide for your search queries that consumers are doing is ranked on the first page, to be very blunt, you guys are fucking up. So it's so important to take a look, do your research, find out what kinds of guides are related to your industry. There's tons of educational people here that are learning about marketing. You guys have so many college guides, buyer's guides, things that are helping people make decisions about where they're gonna go. If you are not on those listings on the first page, that you find, that you discover along the way, you are missing out completely. That is a first page result. You don't even have to pay somebody to figure out how to get you to climb to the top. You're already there if you're on that listing. Remember objectivity too. This is the other thing. It's like, it's tempting to grade your own homework. When you're kids, you spend a lot of time, you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna like erase this and not grade it with the red pen that I'm told to grade. It's just like, write my own, yeah, I'm guilty, I totally did. I'm so sorry. I had to get into my AP classes, but it's easy to do that, right? You want to send all your happy customers an email that says, hey, if you do this, I'll send you a gift card to Amazon and you get a little award for writing an awesome review, or say, hey, write a great review and we'll send you a little free something. But we actually did some testing on incentivized reviews. The conversion rate for incentivized reviews is actually lower than unincentivized reviews. And moreover, some people were actually damaged by it. The incentivized reviews damaged them. They weren't able to collect authentic feedback because they were trying to skew the system, right? So we stripped incentivization completely out of our program. We have an accreditation program that requires the business code of conduct. It's very kind of, news journalism related, objective. We're very proud about not working with people that are trying to game the system or trying to cheat customers out of good experiences. So it's something I'm very passionate about too, but that objectivity is key. You need to be authentic and transparent. Data-driven. We run on Agile Marketing. Well, I'm one of two people in my specific team, but Agile Marketing is amazing. It's fast. It happens really rapidly. If you're not an Agile person, to put it very simply, you hypothesize or you create a conjecture, you test that conjecture, you see what happens, and then if it works, you do it a lot more. If it doesn't work, you go back to the start, and then you just keep going and going and going. Everybody runs side by side with each other. You're all in this one team, development, design. Everybody is just lumped into this group. It doesn't have this kind of linear thing. It's more of this kind of cyclical thing that you just iterate until you find something that works, and then you just do that thing. And when something works, obviously you want to run with it. Consumer insights should steer your strategy. You want to do some discovery. You need to research where people are. There's 1 billion channels out there, right? If you don't do your research to find out where these people are, a lot of people focus on the social media aspect. Only focusing on social media mentions denies this entire channel where 88% of consumers are making that final decision, organic search. Organic search is a customer service channel. It's very important to remember that. That is a valid and gigantic customer service channel. It's a gigantic marketing channel, obviously, too. Customer insights steer the customer experience, right? So collecting feedback proactively instead of just waiting for somebody to drop a bomb on you. By collecting that feedback, you're able to look at all of that data and say, okay, we have a problem over here in Oklahoma because this delivery place is really messing up shipping products to this particular area. So knowing that and knowing that everywhere else you've got really good feedback, pinpoints issues. So you're able to actually target specific consumer issues and trend spot before something really awful happens. That's crucial to developing a company, to growing a brand, and to creating something that just continues to generate more revenue. The analytics part, if you have very limited budget for tooling and things like that, and you want to just figure out how to collect customer feedback and sort it, one of our brands actually just organizes it in a spreadsheet and hashtags everything so they can just search it later, and they save all this feedback by sentiment. Sentiment can kind of vary from what you think would be positive sentiment, like best hamburger, actually isn't always positive sentiment. In fact, when people see that was the best, that's not valid. They're not actually looking for that. So knowing that there's these differentiations in sentiment can actually kind of shape how you bucket all of this different sentiment. And what somebody's 5-star hamburger is completely different than how they rate a 5-star Lexus. So you have to understand what your consumer market is actually defining as 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and so on. So you have to know these things. Do customer research, customer interviews, ask people, what do you think defines a 1-star experience for this particular product? What defines all the way up to the 5-star? Understand those words, those semantic terms, put them into little buckets. You don't have to have like a complex tool base to make that happen, right? You just ask people. You put all those words into buckets. You know that those are the defining factors. Now you know how to continue driving good feedback. The other thing is that consumer feedback helps you become a cool hunter. If you have regional analytics from customer feedback and you're a cosmetic company, and all of these women in Texas are wearing neon bright red lipstick because they all totally do, and sorry if there's any Texans in here, but if you see that, and you see that in other places, maybe somebody's wearing like pink frost, or like, they're wearing like blue lipstick over in LA, because I'm from LA and they're all weirdos over there, but like, what if that's what you see? You're not gonna send all of those women in Texas blue lipstick, right? You're gonna say, okay, well, I'm gonna make like 10 million more of these red things, and I'm gonna send them all down there to Texas, and I'm gonna generate tons more revenue, because that makes sense, right? But you don't know that until you ask. You don't know that until you do the research. So it's not just looking at who's buying things on your website, but where people are buying things with all your competitors too. So know what people are purchasing from you, and keep an eye on what people are purchasing from competitors by looking at customer feedback from your competitors, right? So trend spotting. So be data-driven, be excellent, make good choices, party on, right? So I guess we're on to the questions, and thank you for listening to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think I might have turned my mic off. Oh, there it is. No, I didn't. I did go to the bathroom. I've just kind of flustered myself. I really didn't want to share that with you all. Who would like to ask a question to Danica? There's a question. There's a number of questions. Right at the back in the middle.
So one of your slides said to leverage testimonials and reviews. What's your feeling
I think it's really nice to ask for permission because it's nice to let people know when a media outlet reaches out to us because we have customer feedback on our website. The standard protocol is to actually ask permission from that specific consumer and say, hey, you know, Forbes wants to talk about this issue and your feedback's really great and they're looking to use it. Is that cool with you? And if they say yes, then yeah, like they can totally use that feedback. It's always nice because it also lets them know that you appreciate it, and it's really great to actually reach out to that customer and have that one-to-one experience with them. It's great to share that feedback. You can share that all over the place. Putting it on your website is fantastic because it's not something that you wrote up yourself, right? It's actually feedback from a customer that's being shared. So to me, it makes sense to share something that's third party, that's unbiased, that's coming in organically, and something that you can present to people to back up what you're trying to say.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So because I'm a naughty marketer, I scraped the website's reviews one time, even though I wasn't supposed to. So how do you feel about people doing that in consumer affairs, or is there an API that we could like hook in to get all that review data?
Yeah, we're not like Bazaar Voice in the sense where Bazaar Voice actually kind of only looks for positive reviews. So they're trying to crowdsource all of these things from different websites and aggregating reviews. We're not an aggregator. We do have an API, and we're able to allow brands to use those reviews or send us reviews from different locations depending on how they want to do that. We're very careful though because we don't like people gaming the system. Like almost 70% of the negative feedback that comes through from organic reviews is actually caught in our spam filter to protect consumers and to protect brands from fake reviews. So we take that very seriously, but we have worked with APIs in the past, yeah.
It's really interesting. 70% of what is caught are negative reviews as spam, so people trying to defame other businesses.
Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Danica. That was fantastic.
Thank you.